Um, Welcome to today's reading for The Nature of Our Times, a beautiful anthology that probably won't show up on my Zoom because of my background, I'm sorry to say. Either I disappear or both the book and I disappear. And to tell us more about how this anthology came to be, David Hassler is going to do a brief introduction for us.
Thank you, Robbie. I'm thrilled to be here and appreciate you organizing this reading with so many of our wonderful contributors. I'm excited to hear the poems tonight. Um, I am very grateful that I was asked by my co-editors, Aileen Cassinetto and Luisa Igloria, to join them in co-editing this anthology. The Nature of Our Times, Poems on America's Lands, Waters, Wildlife, and Other Natural Wonders. I met Aileen and Luisa a couple years earlier in bringing our Poets for Science project, a project
Mm.
that we started in 2017 with Jane Hirschfield, with her brilliant idea to bring poetry to the first March for Science on the National Mall and to create a teach intent there. And Aileen and Louisa asked if the Poets for Science could help amplify the anthology that they had recently co-edited called Dear Human at the Edge of Time, poems on climate change in the United States with Jeremy Hoffman. That beautiful first anthology, published by Paloma Press, was a companion to the NCA 5, the National Climate Assessment. And because of that work that Aileen and Louisa did, working with at the time folks from the Global Change Office of Global Change in the White House. They dreamed up another project that was supposed to be a companion to the NNA1, the National Nature Assessment, the first ever assessment of our environment in the United States. And um, and so when they brought this idea to me, I instantly said, yes, thank you. And we brought Poets for Science and the Wick Poetry Center and our design team to help create a beautiful website that allowed us to publish online on a gallery page any submissions. We put out a call for poems to be a part of this anthology, and we received over 1,300 poems. All of them live still on the online gallery at natureofourtimes.poetsforscience.org, and they're searchable by subject matter, by author. Um, and so that we put out that call, and around shortly after the work on receiving poems, the Trump administration canceled the NNA1, fired Phil Levin, dismantled the government funded effort to create the first nature assessment. I remember reading an op-ed piece in the New York Times by Phil Levin on Earth Day shortly after that cancellation and said, "We're not done." He reorganized as the director and founded a nonprofit group called United by Nature and worked with all the non-government affiliated scientists to continue their work. And we met very quickly and said, we're continuing this anthology, and met again with Phil and said, we will still be a companion to this first ever scientific assessment and report of our environment. And so it's exciting to see poetry in the service of science, poetry coming to what is a very real communication problem that science has. And your poems that are in this anthology and so many of the poems that live online that we regretfully could not place in the anthology only because we have a thick book and we did not want to create the OED of poems about nature. Um, these poems are offering another way of knowing, another way of understanding and integrating and processing the knowledge that we're gaining about climate change and on our environment. Poems that give voice to both our grief and also our joy, both of which are expressions of love and of care, both of which are expressions of our relationship to and the care and the love and the passion that we have for the environment. And so the work of this anthology and the work of these poems is not done because we are attached to this scientific effort and the organizers of it. Um, we are exploring ways to create a pop-up exhibit, to prototype, to pilot an exhibit of using poems from this anthology to address chapters of the assessment and to pull people into reading both excerpts of the scientific report and reading poems that speak to those issues. And our hope is to find several science museums centers that would take the prototype, the pilot, and then to scale out and scale up with perhaps assistance from the Association of Science and Technology Centers, a group called Aztec. So I'm so grateful. This has been a labor of love, and I'm so grateful to work with the remarkable and passionate expertise of Aileen and Luisa, and this has been a real project of a joyful project to feel that we have agency, that we have voice at a time when so many of us have dealt with the ongoing onslaught of attack of science and attack of truth and attack of the arts. And so this is wonderful work, and we're in it together. What we wanted was for this to sort of expand outward and to not micromanage it, but rather to help set in motion a movement that is simultaneously happening all over the country and through poets and through the desire to explore poetry and science, the intersections of poetry and science. Or as Jane Hirschfield says, that a quote I love to repeat, poetry and science are not opposites but allies, and the microscope and the metaphor are both instruments of discovery. And so tonight we're going to hear what these poems are discovering in our relationship and our ways of understanding the environment. So thank you, Robbi. Thank you, poets, for joining this reading. And I look forward to hearing it tonight.
I was supposed to introduce you, but you introduced yourself very ably, David. So excuse me for not reading the bio that I had right here in front of me.
Oh,
Our next reader is Judith Sornberger. She's a professor emerita at Mansfield University of Pennsylvania and also the author of 5 full-length poetry collections and the prose memoir, The Accidental Pilgrim, Finding God and His Mother in Tuscany. Uh, okay, thank you. Go ahead. Go ahead, Judith. You're muted. Could you unmute yourself, please?
There we go. Okay. I don't know if you can see me, but here we go. I don't know how many of you have ever seen a hellbender or a picture of a hellbender. Yeah, David, you have some other. Oh, well, then you know what I mean. It is not a truly beautiful animal, but it's very beloved here in Pennsylvania, where a group of high school students worked to make the hellbender our state. Is it our state? What is it? Is it yeah.
Amphibian?
Thank you. Yes. Okay. So this is called the Hellbender as Muse. Tucked in her cave between flat stones in Pine Creek, the largest remaining salamanders, been dubbed the last dragon. Breathing through mud-mottled skin, blending with the river bottom, the hellbender can only survive in clear, flowing water. These days, too many streams are silting over, like your mind suffocating on distractions. This hermit requires a pure stream, as an artist needs a clean canvas where their paints can breathe, as a writer needs a pristine page for words to crawl and float across, as a composer needs unsullied silence to fill with patterned sound. Thanks. And now it is my very great pleasure to introduce Kelli Russell Agodon. She's a bi-queer poet from the Pacific Northwest whose book Accidental Devotions will be published by Copper Canyon Press in 2026. Kelli is the co-founder of Two Sylvias Press and teaches in Pacific Lutheran University's MFA program, the Rayner Writing Workshop. She is also the co-host of the poetry series Poems You Need with Melissa Studdard. So take it away.
I don't think she's here. So.
Oh, I thought I saw her.
I'm actually here.
Oh, you are? Okay, I wasn't finding your name. Sorry.
Did you find me?
Yes, I did. I see you now.
I'm part ghost. I just want to thank Luisa and David and Aileen for just creating this beautiful anthology, and I hope everyone gets a copy. It's so important. I'm honored to be part of it, and I'm honored to be here reading with all of you, and so thankful for everyone who showed up. My poem is called Prayer for a Planet in Peril. Today, danger doesn't surpass the wonder. Today, fireflies and wildfires coexist in the same breath, one light not canceling out the other. In the seaside roses, it's easy to unearth prayers, find keepsakes among the sagebrush grown wild. Some days darkness tastes more like lightness, a concoction brewed from honeysuckle vines, a flannel shirt forgotten in a community garden. Beyond the shadows, there are starlings and starshine, cloud storms and cloudscapes, someone's eyewitness account of the sea. Perhaps the afternoon light simmers as an unspoken apology, a flicker of radiance tucked in the feathers of invasive birds. Today, we love a planet still burning, one we're still harming. We plant more sugar snap peas, wait for blossoms, the garden blooming into something softer. Even with all our mistakes, we see beauty take root. Thank you. And it is my pleasure and joy to introduce Laurel Benjamin, who curates the Ekphrastic Writers and is a reader for Common Ground Review. Her full-length collections, Flowers on a Train, is available from Sheila Na-Gig Editions. Journal publications include Pirin's Fountain, Lily Poetry Review, Cider Press Review, Taos Journal of Poetry, and Mom Egg Review. And you can find Laurel at her website, laurelbenjamin.com. So here she is. Thank you.
Well, it's coincidental that you're introducing me because this poem was composed out of a family camping trip. I don't know how many of you have been on those. And it's a different, not my family. And a Two Sylvias prompt. So thank you very much. You go, girl. It's called The Year. I'm just gonna mute someone. There we go. It's called The Year I Lose the Woods, and it's a lead-in title. the year I lose the woods. I find a meadow trail, stumps like nightstands, attempting shade in regular patterns. Vines slither with nothing to stranglehold. The fire has made room for dandelions, sweet stink. Flutter curls like babies' new hair. I've come from the campground where family splits my body, mouth lassoed, with stories not mine. I've come to shake off the nests of madness, then suckle late hatched chicks, to question spittle bugs hidden on the backside of new leaves, the ground stained acid green. Here, sparrows turn over detritus with a jump back, jump forward. Drawn in their eyes, an arc to beginnings of madness. The sky decides, no reflection for dun feathers, outlining a future filled in with reticence. Squirrels run as if acorns would drop. In truth, I braced myself ahead, but the skeletons of a dense wood require backbone to imagine the squeaky waka waka sound of the woodpecker. Red cap visibility, something definite when screams bind. In the distance, binocular vision is necessary to isolate here and there, small mounds where gophers insist on receiving the earth. Thanks. And I have the pleasure of introducing Elizabeth Bradford, whose books include So Far, Poems 2025, interpretive work, which won the Audre Lorde Prize in Lesbian Poetry, Towards Antarctica, and the co-created Cascadia Field Guide, Art, Ecology, Poetry, winner of a Pacific Northwest Book Award, editor-in-chief of Broadsided and a Wallace Stegner Fellow. Liz teaches at Brandeis University and works as a naturalist and field assistant on Cape Cod. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Thank you, Laurel. It's really nice to be here. This anthology is near and dear to my heart as someone who moves between work as a field assistant and naturalist and my love of books. And I fully believe that the skills required for poetry are the same skills required for science, which is attention and curiosity and listening for the oddity, right? For the strange oddity. The poem in the anthology is also included in this new book of mine that just came out in August. And I'm surprised this is the poem in the anthology, but I'm so happy because mostly I write about the marine world, and this is definitely a terrestrial poem, and it's a pandemic poem. It's titled "The Paper Wasps." In each of the 14 jars on the sill above my desk, a paper wasp. I didn't know what else to do when they started bumbling the air, long legs dangling like an airlifted cow's. I watched them clean their beautiful faces. I watched them move up and down the jar sides. They can see each other warbled through the lettering. I put myself in this room most days, put my mind into the machine before me. At first, I'd usher them out, open the door to spring's thin air, but more and more kept coming, and I wanted to forget my body. Only one, so far, has died, dry and curled. I could put it outside for the birds. I could use the jar for another and another, and I don't think I'd feel badly if I didn't put them on the shelf above the screen of the thing I put myself into. But I did. And of course, I can release myself. Of course, I can do that. So thank you. Thank you to the editors and all my fellow poets gathered here tonight. And I have the pleasure now of introducing Lauren Camp. Lauren Camp serves as New Mexico Poet Laureate. She is the author of 8 books of poetry, most recently In Old Sky. An astronomer in residence at Grand Canyon National Park, Camp received the Dorset Prize, finalist commendations for the Arab American Book Award and Adrian Rich Award, and fellowships from the Academy of American Poets and the Black Earth Institute. LaurenCamp.com. Lauren.
Thank you, Liz, and for that WASP poem. And thank you, Robbi, for putting this together and inviting all of us. David, Aileen, Luisa, thank you for building a gorgeous anthology, but also a gorgeous archive of nature poems that we really need. My poem brings the high desert into the conversation, which I always like to do. It follows a summer of intense, horrid wildfires. It's called Canyon Trail number 59. Let me green every turn toward aspen. Let me move, always seeing the scarred and prophetic. Let me believe in vulnerable sprouting and learn verses of water in alluvial soil. And then dream that versions of fragile can somehow reverse. This isn't a litany with no reason. Life wants another morning, wants to feed on the prosperous mountain, to enumerate roots again, to peek off the grief. Let us each begin fresh with attention. Let us see succulence, the casual desert. Let us be less anxious each time the trees shuffle. Over years of Julys, we have learned to expect wreckage in mountains. Now I learn to lean low to sweet roses, to count whatever is rising, to follow whatever is recently back. Okay, so the next reader is Joanne Durham. Joanne is the author of To Drink from a Wider Bowl, winner of the Sinclair Poetry Prize, Evening Street Press 2022, and the chapbook On Shifting Shoals. Her eco-poetry appears in Banyan Review, Cold Mountain, Cutthroat, Feral, and Cider Press Review, among others. Recent awards include the Miriam Chaikin Poetry Prize and finalist for the Lascaux Poetry Prize. She co-hosts the Island Arts Council's Poetry Thursdays in Cure Beach, North Carolina, and teaches poetry workshops online and in person. Visit her at joannedurham.com.
Thank you, Lauren. And again, thanks to everyone involved in the Robbi for this reading and the editors of this anthology. I really do think it's such an important anthology to be out now. And I've studied eco poetry with a number of poets, and almost all of them are in this book. And then this book allowed me to discover so many other wonderful poets writing in support of our natural world. So I'm thrilled to be a part of it. My poem was written in a class that Liz Bradfield led through Orion magazine called Wonder. I think it was called Wonder Strange or something like that. And so we were tasked for finding something wonder strange to write about. So I went to my local state park, and this is what happened. It's called I Learn About Bladderworts at Carolina Beach State Park. I couldn't wait to share their name with my grandson, who rolled the sounds around his tongue and giggled, jumped up from his jigsaw puzzle, suddenly needing to pee, yelling, "Bladderwort, bladderwort." They're seldom noticed in our state park, unlike their rare and heavenly cousin, Venus flytrap, queen of carnivorous plants, whose dainty pink vulnerability headlines all the brochures, nectar oozing from her leaves, irresistible to fleas, ants, beetles. Common bladderworts took a different route. Not willing to shrivel in the coast's parched soil, they learned eons ago to slip below boggy lakes and ponds, open their sacks and snap shut on aquatic worms and water fleas. Nourished their orchid-like blooms rise as though floating above the swamp. When should I tell my grandson how long it took bladderworts to evolve their plan? How little time we have left for ours. He's back to his puzzle, nudges the last crest of blue ocean beside the curve of California, then gives me a high five and cries, "No missing pieces." Thank you. And I'd like to introduce Dina Elenbogen, who's the author of the poetry collection Shore from Glassflower Press and Apples of the Earth from Spitten Dyfel in New York, as well as the memoir Drawn from Water. She's received fellowships from the Illinois Arts Council and the Ragdale Foundation. Her work has appeared in anthologies and magazines, including What the House Knows from Terrapin Books, City of the Big Shoulders, University of Iowa Press, this anthology, Beyond Lament from Northwestern University, Lit Hub, Prairie Schooner, Cimarron Review, Patterson Literature Review, New City, Chicago, and other venues. She has an MFA in poetry from the Iowa Writers Workshop and teaches creative writing at the University of Chicago's Writers Studio. Dina, it's all yours. You're still muted.
Sorry about that. I've been doing live readings lately. Thank you, Joanne, and thank you, Robbi, for organizing this. And thank you, David, Luisa, Aileen, for this gorgeous and essential anthology. My poem is called Petition. These are the long weeks of waiting for the air to clear from distant fires. Birds of paradise wake us from dreams of burning worlds. Let the disappearing rivers fill to meet us where we sit, pray as rising waters swallow houses built on borrowed land. Let us remember the boy pounding pavement with the ball he later throws through hoops. Let him catch and return it to its place. Let us all return to the place we can feel at home or just feel again the sadness of soil. Let the sadness bloom into forgiveness. Let us forgive the tall grasses for smothering the lilies, the green tomatoes that turn towards the sun. Let them become orange before we leave. Let us gather the ripened strawberries before the dogs devour them. Let the trees hold rain long after. It is now my pleasure to introduce Kari Gunter-Seymour, who is the Poet Laureate of Ohio and the author of 3 award-winning collections of poetry, including her latest, Dirt Songs, Eastover Press. She's the executive director of the Women of Appalachia Project and editor of its anthology series, Women Speak. Her work has been featured in the American Book Review, Poem a Day, World Literature Today, and the New York Times. And you can find her at KariGunter-Seymourpoet.com.
Thank you so much. I too, of course, want to thank our editors. I want to thank Robbi so much for organizing this reading. I know how busy she is, so thank you, Robbi. And I also want to thank all of you. It's such an honor to hear your voices. And we all know that it's one thing to read the work, but to have the actual opportunity to hear it spoken is just such a delight. So thank you all so very much for that. My piece is 10 miles north of Lore City, Guernsey County, Ohio. Oh, Salt Fork, I've come to hide inside your autumn. Walk beneath the cathedral of your branches. become a meditative painting, a Cézanne. Your impressions revealed in planes of pigment, the slow study of light. Pin oak and American beach awash in swaths of topaz and carnelian, the lake a reverie of revelations. The universe is out of whack, tremulous in the pathos of floods, wildfires, and drought. Here, red squirrels wax comedic, all bark, tuck, and tumble, a white-tailed snorting at their attics. Tangy pockets of frostweed and switchgrass intoxicate my airways, weak knee me into giggles. Chickadees hip-hop branch to thicket, their black caps adorably gangsta. Above, an osprey chirps its tea kettle whistle, ascends, thrusts, disappears, returns as if parlaying ancestral maps stored inside the lace of its bones. And cricket songs stitch the afternoon. I don't know how long your trails can hold such abundance. Your fervor of tones and textures winding their way to my insides, transcendent as a psalm. The rhythm of your balms and breezes rumoring their promise of peace. Thank you. So next up is the amazing Anna Leahy, whose books include the poetry collection If in Some Cataclysm and the nonfiction book Tumor. Her essays have won awards from Mississippi Review, Los Angeles Review, Ninth Letter, and Dogwood. She edits Tab Journal and has been a fellow at McDowell, Joshua Tree National Park, and the American Library in Paris. And you can find out more about her at amleahy.com.
Thank you so much. I am so thrilled to be part of this group. Amazing poets. And also, I just can't say enough good things about the Wick Poetry Center. My first book won their prize, and it has made all the difference in my life in so many ways. And also, speaking of the American Library in Paris and Joshua Tree National Park, all you other poets should apply for all these opportunities. And this kind of work, I think, is much needed. And those are ways to support us doing more of that kind of work. My poem in this anthology is called Oiled Bird Season. It is based on an incident of an oil leak off the coast of California, where they do offshore drilling, and the current administration wants to expand that sort of thing. And I'm not a native Californian. I'm from the Midwest, and we don't have oceans and oil rigs on our shores. And so this was all new to me. And when I saw the diagrams of how they do these things, it's ridiculous. It's ready for leaks and breaks at any moment. So I think this is a really important topic, especially right now in the current administration. This was also echoing a lot of feelings during the pandemic and the relationship between nature and our own individual health. Oiled bird season. We'll get through this, someone says, and even those who don't say it believe it, and I almost believe it too, and also know we don't know what it means to go through. From a distance, all slick and sheen, right here, a matted mess, and sleek shivering. Something's seeped from a crack in the earth's crust, busted open. Off the coast of our existences, something's leaking. Preening sludge is a colossal waste of ongoing as much as it is a measure of going on. A feather might be mistaken, vain for obsidian blade. The bird beaches to avoid drowning. Its keel holds the heart with so many ways to be wounded in the saving. And next up is Deborah Leipzinger, and she is the author of several books on human rights and sustainability. Her work has appeared in Salamander, Revista Cardinal, and Inkwell. Her poetry collection, Story and Bone, was published by Lily Poetry Review Books. Take it away, Deborah.
Thank you so much. It's such a joy to be here. This is such a gift, just what we need right now. And I'm very grateful to Robbi Nester and all of the wonderful poets and to the editors. And I'm fascinated by the role of language and learning the language that we need for changing our world. My poem is How to Heal. You taught me that bees make a kind of resin, propolis, a glue to repair their hive. From the buds of poplar and cone-bearing trees, they recreate their home. You taught me how propolis can heal, how the word comes from before and city, as though a hive is a city, as though we can make our world anew, create our own medicine from gathering what we have around us. And it's my very great pleasure to introduce the wonderful Perie Longo. Perie is the author of 4 books of poetry, most recently Baggage Claim, and she is the former poet laureate of Santa Barbara, California. Please welcome Perie.
Oh, thank you, Deborah, so much. And I want to echo everyone's thoughts about how exciting it is to be in this anthology, and thanking the editors and David. It's been so wonderful to be in communication with you. I wasn't sure I would make it today. I fell and broke my arm last Friday, and I told Robbi, I'm not sure I can make it, but she said, well, just try if you can, and thank you, Robbi, so much. I was raised in Wisconsin, but I've lived in California for 50 years, and this poem is a result of visiting my sister, who still lives in Wisconsin. A pair of sandhill cranes in the rain. They don't care for me, running in a flurry toward them like a child with oh and ah, as they posed aloof, dreamlike, in a wash at the edge of the lake. Like a whisper the other side of the glass door where I've come to visit my older sister, anxious to comb for something lost from early life. I've missed her, longed to be friends again, as when we'd lift mother's flapper dresses from the old metal trunk and play dress up, dance the Charleston. Look at us now, both of us with fractured hips, slowed but making our way like those 2 cranes, appeared from nowhere. I could not resist their regal stance, heads crimson capped, long thin necks as if nothing could stir them, until I aimed my camera full in their direction, and off they glided behind the tall stand of cattails in shade of maple, just tipped rust overnight. Breathless, I ebbed round the bend, and as they eased forward, I clicked, caught their escape in hand, and that was that. Immediately feeling grief for disrupting their noble presence. Yet this morning, once more they appear in a sudden downpour, gazing across the wrinkled lake, one pointed one way, one the other. My sister and I share in their silence, shoulder to shoulder, mere reflections, rain ticking against the window, nothing between. Thank you. Now, I don't have anyone to introduce Robbi.
Yes, you do. It's Marjorie Maddox.
But I can't get it now because I wasn't
It's
sure.
okay. I will do it.
Thank you, Robbi.
All right. Marjorie Maddox has published 17 collections of poetry, including Seeing Things from Wild House and Hover Here from Broadstone Books, forthcoming, as well as ekphrastic collaborations, Small Earthly Space with photographer Karen Elias, and In the Museum of My Daughter's Mind with her artist daughter Anna Lee Hafer. Maddox also has published a story collection, 5 children's books, and the anthology Commonwealth, Contemporary Poets on Pennsylvania, and Keystone Poetry, co-editor with Jerry Wemple, Pennsylvania State University Press. And that's another lovely anthology that I recommend everyone read.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
it
you,
away,
Robbi.
Marjorie.
Thank you, Robbi. I'm going to read a poem from Karen Elias's and my collaborative ekphrastic book, Small Earthly Space, which Robbi mentioned. And I wish I had Karen's image, but this doesn't do it justice. But imagine a map of Curlew, Washington, and superimposed on that is a curlew bird, and then both are engulfed in flames. The Witnesses. After the 2018 wildfire in Curlew, Washington, and the photograph Curlew Witnesses, Curlew Fire by Karen Elias. Near the confluence of Long Alec Creek and the Kettle River, the Curlew watches its namesake, town of 100, as residents stare toward the west, inhale fear. Smoke rewrites the sky where the curlew once flew. Flames attack its map and habitat. Ridgelines pulse with what is singed, feathers, pines, mountains, horizons streaked with regret, and the burnt promises of those not there to witness, the incineration of branch, the contagion of spark, the long, slow burn of loss. O curlew and curlews, obscure enough to hide once within these safe acres, even you, grief has found, even you. And I have the wonderful task of, or joy, I guess, of introducing our illustrious host. Robbi Nester is a retired college educator, editor of 3 anthologies, and author of 5 books, most recently About to Disappear from Shantae Arts. She hosts and curates 2 monthly poetry reading series, Verse Virtual Poetry and Words with You. Learn more about her at her website, www.robbinester.net.
Thank you so much, Marjorie. Luckily, I put a marker in here so I could find my poem. My poem is called Hot. Yesterday, large birds, vultures and golden eagles fell out of the sky in Arizona, stricken down by heat. I once held an eagle owl, light on my arm despite its impressive size. With all that armature alone, curved talons, beak like a scimitar, it should have weighed my arm down like a stone, and yet it didn't. Barely enough to bow a branch. I learned that hollow feathers buoy the birds in flight, insulate in winter and in summer, shield the body, pink and diminished underneath all that striated plumage. Yet this architecture didn't help. What had been light fell like a sodden sandbag to the ground, breaking windshields, knocking grazing cattle to their knees. Think of the canaries miners used to carry, caged into the dark. They tell me what's to come. But we know already from experience where hillsides dry to brittle brown, flames will rise like spirits, making their own weather, taking down the tallest trees. Frowning at the cloudless sky, we vow to change, and yet our lives continue as they always have. Morning shower, feeding the cat, checking the latest news. Imminent disaster cannot blunt the appetite or quell the thirst. Keep the the sorry the ants from finding the ripest peaches in the bowl. Routine won't help us when the very air ignites, when birds, the messengers that go before us, fall from the sky.